Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, obviously enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, August 13th, 2026. This is live stream 1352. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. We're just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news. And then normally I'll tackle a topic related to our hobby. Right now, because Gen Con was just a couple of weeks ago, we are doing some first looks so we can dive on into different things. We'll probably ease off the first looks in about a week or two. We'll still do them, just not every night. So sometimes I might do an AMA or even do a live review. Those are very rare because they're not that easy to pull off live. But still, you never really know exactly what you might run across here on the show outside of the gaming news. So there's that. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos here on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are never going to see here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. On tonight's show, we are going to dive on in. We are going to take a look at a forgotten RPG favorite, Flashing Blades, from Fantasy Games Unlimited. In fact, I've got the core book as well as 3 adventure supplements. We are going to dive in. We are going to take a peek. I got to be honest, I did not own Flashing Blades back in the day. It was an FGU game I had not picked up, probably because I think it came out a little bit later in the kind of heyday of FGU. So I had Bushido, I had Aftermath, I also had Space Opera. Those were the 3 that I remember owning. So we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a peek. We are going to have some fun tonight. Should also mention, if you are watching live, there is chat available. Now, of course, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. One of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, fire away. I'll do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show and chat moderator, the Madman. Mark Hawkswell's with us, as is Semper Buffo, Danny Gable, Kevin R. Smith. We might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as another of our chat moderators. That is a possibility. So welcome, everybody. We got a big show. Let's dive right on into the news, because Mongoose Publishing has launched a crowdfunding project for a new edition of the Dark Conspiracy role-playing game. It is Dark Conspiracy: The Unseen War. Here's the scoop. Are you ready to defend our world? Dark Conspiracy is a horror role-playing game set in our own modern world, or just a few years hence. A terrible threat lurks in the shadows, one utterly unknown by most of humanity. If the world is to be kept safe, this ignorance has to be maintained. A conspiracy of secrecy, ignorance, and darkness must be constructed for the greater good of all. The danger is real. Merciless creatures from dimensions beyond comprehension press against the veil that separates worlds. Their motives are unknown, but it is clear that they delight in suffering, chaos, and pain. Oh, who doesn't? In the past, They've gone by many names: ghosts, boogeymen, supernatural phenomena, and cryptids of all shapes and sizes. Dark minions are so much more than that. This project is going to bring 3 hardcover books to life along with a referee's screen. The core book will contain everything you need to create your operatives and launch yourself into missions against the dark. Then, of course, we've got that referee's screen. So you will have everything at your fingertips as a game master, so you can handle your operatives. There's also going to be field ops, a collection of one-shot missions to ease you into the world of Dark Conspiracy and showcase what's possible. Send your operatives to combat cults in Nevada, fight dark intrusions in Norwich, and vanquish Demon Ground in the Italian Alps. And then there is Dread Earth, a complete campaign set in Appalachia, where a minion lord has begun to break down the barriers between dimensions. Your operatives will be fighting to close Demon Ground portals while hunted by dark minions. The wider world cannot know about this threat. No one knows the extent to which it has corrupted the power structures of the planet, and the defenders of humanity are simply not ready to take the fight to the enemy. Right now, they don't even know the nature of the threat, what its goals are, or just what it's capable of. Actions taken against the ultimate evil must be done with the utmost secrecy, whatever the cost. You'll be the ones creating the conspiracy. There is a short backer kit video. Now, I will mention there's kind of like flashing lights and things like that, a lot of kind of like jump cuts. Just letting you know before you're sitting back watching and going, I'm not supposed to watch these things. Giving you heads up. Regardless, let's take a peek at the video.
Previous reconnaissance deemed inconclusive. Company requires more operatives. Attend the location provided. Acquire intelligence. Safeguard humanity. Maintain conspiracy. Failure to neutralize the threat is not an object. Humanity must be protected. Dark Conspiracy on Backer Kit, now.
The backer kit for Dark Conspiracy, The Unseen War, is well beyond 400% funding in its first day. You can reserve copies of all 4 releases, which include PDFs, for a pledge of approximately $188. If you want to score just the PDFs, you can do that for a pledge of approximately $114 through September 11th. Expected fulfillment is June of next year. I got to be honest, I don't think that video would prompt me to back this project. In fact, I would probably be less likely to back this project if I was just going on things based on the video itself. I'm just being honest. Because for one, I want to know about the game. I don't want to see a bunch of weird, crazy ass images and shit like that. And you've got your friends and family doing, little stunt work and shit like that. No, I don't need to see that. Right? Plus, the reality is that video doesn't set this apart from anything. To me, it looked like, oh, yeah, okay, so it's another conspiratorial, horror game, alien horror game, right? Just saying. And I mean, I'm interested in this because something that's not really touched upon on the backer kit page, it's mentioned in that video, is this is actually going to use traveler mechanics. So this isn't just like a rehash of the original. What did they do? 2 editions of Dark Conspiracy over at Fast. What? Wait a second. It was GDW. For a second, I was going to say it was FASA. I'm pretty sure it was GDW that did it. So I don't know. I mean, I am interested in this. But that damn video, I don't know. I just don't know. So Histio's with us in chat, as is Ichiban, executive producer Ichiban. Histio asks, why Dark Conspiracy over Delta Green? That is a question, isn't it? So I never had Dark Conspiracy, so I'm probably not a great source of information about the original game. But I always thought it is not Lovecraftian in nature, whereas Delta Green is. So that's where I think we might kind of see a little different, it's what differentiates this from Delta Green. I'm sure there are many other things. So for one, Delta Green agents tend to be just regular folk. They usually are law enforcement or federal agents of some sort. This looks like the player characters might have like psychic powers and things like that. So there you go. There you have it. Let's see. W4 just popped on into chat. Welcome. Moving right along, Darrington Press and Critical Role have released a new major supplement for Daggerheart. You can find it in standard and deluxe editions. I've got the latest on Hope and Fear. Take Daggerheart to new levels with an expansion offering new options for everyone at the table, GMs and players, and bringing Daggerheart into even more genres than before. Inside, you'll find new character options, including 4 new classes: the Witch, Warlock, Brawler, and Assassin, each with 2 unique subclasses. Over 130 new adversaries and 28 environments, plus a rip pad of blank adversary sheets to help you easily create your own. Well over 100 weapons, armor, items, and consumable options. 4 new campaign frames, introducing new worlds and settings for you to explore. A completely new Dread Domain set of cards, unlocking ghastly, macabre, magic core to the new Witch and Warlock classes. There are subclass cards for all 8 new subclasses. 6 transformation cards, a completely new mechanic. Transformations represent changes or augmentations to characters in Daggerheart. During a campaign or at character creation, transform into a vampire, werewolf, reanimated, shapeshifter, ghost, or demigod. You'll find 6 new community cards: Duneborn, Hearthborn, Frostborn, Warborn, Freeborn, and Reborn. 6 new ancestry cards: Skykin, Tidekin, Earthkin, Emberkin, Gnome, and Etheris. The 202-page hardcover with the rest of these goodies is making its way into stores. Now, the standard edition carries an MSRP of $39.99. I was kind of surprised by that, as in a little bit lower than what I was expecting, especially since it's got all these cards and stuff. The deluxe edition is packed with lots of extras, dice. I think there's a Game Master screen and so forth. That carries an MSRP of $119.99. You can score the PDF over at DriveThruRPG right now for $19.99. W4 says future Daggerheart supplements, Fate and Fortune, Love and Hate, Mac and Cheese, Laurel and Hardy. There you go. There you go. Peanut butter and jelly. Yes. Crime and Punishment. I'll jump on that bandwagon with W4. I'll ride that train. That's cool. I mean, like I said before, I wouldn't mind taking a peek at Daggerheart. Sammy liked it. She gave it a good score in her written review. But yeah, W4 says Abbott and Costello. Yes. So, yeah, you know, it's an expansion. You know, it's funny because I have heard just complete opposite takes on Daggerheart. I have heard people talk about how they've had a blast playing, and it's just a nice, cool, new experience as far as role-playing games go. And then I've seen other people talk about how they disliked it intensely. Like, well, it's pretty much like every other role-playing game out there, eh? On our next news piece, arriving in late November, maybe early December from Goodman Games, is the Mutant Crawl Classics Archive of Adventure Volume 1. Here's what I know. 8 adventures for the Mutant Crawl Classics role-playing games spanning levels 0 through 5. From a 0-level funnel trapped in an insect hive to a rogue AI juggernaut carving a path towards your village. Deadly mutants, killer AIs, alien invaders, and unpredictable relics of the ancients await across the ravaged world of Terra AD. Each adventure stands alone, but together they take a band of would-be seekers from their first harrowing steps into the wasteland to full-fledged heroes of the post-apocalypse. Sentient mag trains, alien portals, artifact-wielding warlords, and a doomsday pathogen are just a few of the dangers that lie between here and survival. All the adventure your table needs for a full campaign of post-apocalyptic mayhem in one hardcover volume. The Archive of Adventure Volume 1 contains these exciting adventures. Hive of the Overmind, which is a 0-level funnel. Young would-be seekers awaken in the hive of a deadly race of insect humanoids and must find a way to escape. A Fallen Star for All, a level 1 adventure. An ancient temple overlooking a quaint village is home to a boisterous idol with strange demands. There's Mayhem on the Mag Train for level 2 characters. A sentient transport carries the seekers on a breakneck journey across Terra AD. Will they survive the trip? Also level 2 is Incursion of the Ultra Dimension. Alien invaders from worlds beyond spill into Terra AD from a portal in a ruin of the ancients. Another second level adventure is the On the Very of Eden. Your tribe has unearthed the entrance into the Garden of the Gods, where it is foretold lies the seed of creation. But that is not all that lurks. Then we have Warlords of Ataz. A horde of artifact-wielding marauders threaten the PC's village. They must enter the temple of the great and powerful Ataz to end the menace. And that is for third-level characters. A fourth-level adventure is included with Blessings of the Vile Brotherhood. A quest to repair a malfunctioning Metabot takes the seekers on a journey to the holy medicinal orders. Are the monks what the legends claim them to be? And then finally, we've got the Apocalypse Arc, let's not try to combine both words into one, Jeff. For level 5 characters, a rogue smart metal monstrosity cuts its way across the land, and your village lies in its path. You must summon the courage to enter the juggernaut and find a way to save your people before they are annihilated. The 200-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $59.99. Not too shabby. So I will point out that you get 8 adventures. Normally, in soft cover, these adventures run $9.99 with the PDF. Sometimes a little bit more. I've seen them go as high as like $13.99 from Goodman Games. But on average, they're about $9.99. So you're getting 8 of them in one volume, $59.99. That's a good deal. That is a nice deal. Now, of course, all of these adventures have been available previously, but that's usually what these tomes of adventure tend to be, or in this case, the archive of adventure. No Limelight Productions has popped on into chat. Good to see you. Moving right along. This October, we'll see the release of the Designers and Dragons Origins box set from Evil Hat Productions. Here's the skinny. Who was the first woman to design a module for TSR? What adventure was so scandalous that management literally buried it in a landfill? Right. Anybody know the answers to those? Because I do. I know them. Which release was, chronologically speaking, truly the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons? Find out in Designers and Dragons Origins. This comprehensive 4-volume history tells a tale of each and every product TSR released for original D&D, basic D&D, as well as 1st edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons. From the birth of role-playing to the discovery of the Forgotten Realms, from the rise of basic D&D to the fall of Mystara, award-winning historian Shannon Appelkline brings you the story of OD&D, basic D&D, and 1st edition AD&D in Designers and Dragons Origins. Book by book, the 4 volumes in this series cover every product TSR released for these editions of Dungeons and Dragons. So volume 1 is original Dungeons and Dragons and AD&D through 1983. Next up is AD&D 1983 through 88. Volume 3 is Holmes D&D, Basic Expert, and BECMI from 77 through 87. And then Volume 4 is BECMI, Black Box Dungeons and Dragons, and Mystara. So that is 1987 through 1995. Nearly a decade in the making, Designers and Dragons Origins spans 1,500 pages, well, more than 1,500 pages, actually, and over 400,000 words. Each volume features a full-color interior and ribbon bookmarks with a stylish slipcase enclosing the whole package. Altogether, this handsome set will make a prized treasure on any fan's bookshelf. The 4-volume box set is going to carry an MSRP of $200. It is landing in stores this October. You can pre-order it right now. You can also pre-order individual volumes. And you also have the audiobook edition. So each of the volumes gets an audiobook. I want to say, I think those can be pre-ordered right now for $25. I actually really enjoyed Designers and Dungeons. It was really, really nicely done. I actually binge read them. I read all 4 in a row. So I got to be honest, I wish I had the audiobook versions of those, because that'd be cool. I'd listen to them again. Well, I'd listen to them for the first time, but I've already read them. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Kathy Evans is with us tonight. W. Ford says Goodman Games has somewhat stopped their support of 5e. No more original adventures reincarnated. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's the deal there. For one, we knew they weren't going to continue doing Dungeons and Dragons as far as the reincarnated adventures. That's why they moved over to Judges Guild stuff, which they took heat for doing that. So I don't know what's going on with that line. I think it's kind of up in the air. But as far as releasing material for Dungeons and Dragons, I don't see Goodman Games stopping that because they still have their 5th edition fantasy. I would take a guess they're still going to release D&D adjacent content as well, just like we had the Dungeon Denizens Volume 2 for Dungeon Crawl Classics and for D&D. So I think they're still going to do that. But as far as kind of revamping older adventures, I don't know. I have no idea. Because it got to the point, what was it? They weren't selling it. Amazon was, or Amazon wasn't selling it. They were the only, I forget. You used to be able to get them through Amazon. I don't know if you can or not any longer, but I don't know. Kevin R. Smith says they've got 2 of the original Designers and Dragons in PDF and 2 in physical form. They are addictive reads. Yeah, the only thing that's, and I've mentioned this before, I can't remember what the phrase was. And I think it was more of a glaring thing to me because I was reading each book in order, you know. There was no break between them. There was a phrase that the author used just way too much. And it'd be like, I kept seeing it. I'd be like, oh, come on. But I mean, that was like it. I mean, it was just, and like I said, it probably wouldn't have been that big a deal if I hadn't been reading, the 4 volumes all back to back. So there you go. Kevin R. Smith says the original Adventures Reincarnated is subject to licensing from Wizards of the Coast. Not true. Because the last, 3 original Adventures Reincarnated were not TSR adventures. They were Judges Guild. So Wizards of the Coast has nothing to do with that. But prior to that, yes, that was the case. So, do you know? I don't know. Anyway, come October, Origins, I would definitely dig checking this out because I think there's probably a little bit of an oral history to these as well. So you might get some background inside baseball dope on what was going on at the time with Dungeons and Dragons. So kind of cool. All right, let's talk about the final news piece because Night Owl Workshop is offering a physical bundle of their Celtic Legend original Dungeons and Dragons supplements. Now I've got the deets on the deals. Uncover the mysteries of Celtic Ireland's otherworld and its fairy creatures with Celtic legends, fairies, and spirits, designed to immerse you in a realm of mysticism, heroism, and the powerful forces of nature. Inside, you'll discover beings of the otherworld, detailed descriptions of fairies, spirits, and supernatural entities from the vengeful Bainsetti to the mischievous leprechaun. Get ready, I'm going to mispronounce a ton of stuff. Even though I am first generation Irish, I do not know any Gaelic, or as people like to call it now, Irish, the Irish language. You can encounter a rich tapestry of creatures, including shape-shifting spirits, guardian beasts, malevolent monsters, and more, each with unique lore, stats, and special abilities. You'll find epic Journeys of adventure into the heart of ancient Ireland with Celtic legends, gods, and druids. This 50-page supplement is your essential guide to a world steeped in mysticism, heroism, and the raw power of nature. Perfect for both seasoned game masters and players eager to infuse their fantasy campaigns with authentic Celtic lore. Inside, you'll find the pantheon of gods in Celtic Ireland. You'll delve into the divine hierarchy with detailed descriptions of 12 primary gods from Celtic Irish mythology, each a potent force to inspire your narratives and challenge your heroes, as well as 60 new druid spells, 2 new classes, the Droi, a Celtic druid, and the Kern, the Celtic forest warrior, and a wealth of inspiration and practical tools to bring the magic and mystery of Celtic Ireland to life at your gaming table. And then we have the World of Air is the definitive toolkit for your infusing of OSR campaigns with the haunting mysticism of Mythic Ireland. Moving beyond dry history, this sourcebook offers a vibrant plug-and-play vision of land caught between the primal power of the old ways and the rising light of the new faith. Inside, you'll find 4 new character classes, including the spiritual discipline of the cleric. I think it's like a cleric. Take the vow of the Templar Knights, or wield the world-shaping words of the Philip and the Kyoter. Like I said, just butchering these left and right. You'll find a pantheon of saints. Call upon the lawful power of Saint Patrick to banish chaos, or seek the healing fires of Saint Brigid to survive the dark. There's also a bestiary. Face the evil eye of Baelor. Outrun the intelligent Phalag man-wolves, or attempt to bind the undying vampire dwarf, the Abhartak. Build your own crags and ring forts. Manage the vital wealth of cattle and bees. Navigate a world where every stone and stream has a name and a spirit. The bundle of all 3 softcover books can be had over at DriveThruRPG for $29.97. The PDFs together also are available in a bundle for $12.99. If you want to get the PDFs by themselves, they are $5.99. And the PDF bundle is today's giveaway. Yes, I'm going to be giving away 1 copy to someone watching live. Yeah, get ready, because the trivia is going to be on its way. And then, if you are watching after the fact, hell, if you're watching on Memorex, however you're watching, and if you're watching live and you don't happen to be the winner tonight, I am also going to tell you how you can get into the running to win another copy that I'll be giving away, I should say. W. Fort says Boston butchered the pronunciation of Celtics way before you did, Jeff. I have had people argue with me over that pronunciation. They're like, no, it is Celtics. No, the basketball team is correct. And it's like, no. I'm telling you, I have had commenters comment on videos where I've said Celtic, and they're like, that's not right. No, that's not how it's done. It's like, yes, it is. I don't give a shit what you say. You are wrong. Now, all those other Gaelic words, yeah, I got those wrong by a mile, I'm sure. All righty. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I did mention DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to swing on by, say, DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, and there are a lot of them, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a 5% commission on most of those sales. And all those commissions really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you happen to like the outlet, if you find this to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can actually support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Damn, that's good. And you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. And those members at the $10 or higher membership tier are receiving the mystery role-playing game PDF of the month every month, right around the 10th or so. So there is that. All Lucky 7 is popping on in. Says, yes, it is. Shut up. Shut up. Kevin R. Smith says, obviously, these people have never read Pendragon. Oh, you mean Pendragoon? Because that's how it's pronounced, Kevin. That's the pronunciation. Hey, I don't claim to be an expert on anything. But there are certain things where it's like, okay, come on. I still live in a world that's built off of facts, where facts matter. Opinions don't mean dick. That's the world I live in. I know, sadly, that is not a world that too many people seem to reside in any longer, but anywho. All right. So let's see. Anything cooking? Not really. Oh, I was going to share some more reviews. I did not have an opportunity to film any. So I mentioned last night I have to go pet sit again over at my brother's house. Thankfully, it's 2.5 days. It's not like 5 days like the last time. So I still have one review that's going to pop out tomorrow. And of course, today I shared my review of the Devoured Labyrinth from RPG Ramblings. This is for Shadow Dark. Pretty good. Pretty interesting stuff. There are over 45, if I remember correctly, dungeons in this. Some are a little bit longer, some are shorter. But interesting stuff. It's a bit of a hex crawl as well, if you want. Otherwise, you can just drop these things into your campaigns, or you can use them as one-shots and stuff. They actually have regions, so there's a little bit of a theme to each of the regions as far as the big bads. And it runs from, well, there's actually a 0-level funnel, and it runs through level 5. So kind of cool. So you might want to check that out. It's something different. So Kevin R. Smith says, I thought it was pretty well known that Celt was pronounced with a hard C if you're not talking about the basketball team. I know. Don't be shocked if suddenly there's a comment sometime on this video saying I pronounced Celtic wrong. It's not Celtic. If it was Celtic, they'd spell it with a K. All right. Speaking of Celtic Ireland, the PDF bundle is tonight's giveaway. So I think what I am going to do. So let's stay in the theme of tonight's show, right? So here's my trivia question for you. Whoever can get me the answer first, and it has to be the full name and title. So D'Artagnan in the Three Musketeers, the Four Musketeers, and I think, aren't there 2 other books? I know there are other books. I just don't recall the titles to them. Maybe it's one other book that Alexander Dumas wrote. D'Artagnan is based on a real person. What is the name and title of that person? First one to give me the correct answer is the winner. And while we're waiting, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Oh, I float through the air with the greatest of ease, with or without the flying trapeze. My act is so great gravity I defy, 'cause I drink T-O-E-D-Y.
Yes, toddy, the chocolate malt in a can.
Hit it, everybody. It's time to drink your chocolate toddy.
Mmm, delicious.
Long, long ago in colonial Virginia, a tempting new recipe was created. They called this tasty dish Smithfield Barbecue. And today, that famous James River Smithfield Barbecue is still being prepared right there in Smithfield, Virginia, lovingly simmered in old-fashioned open kettles. The fame of James River brand Smithfield Barbecue has spread over the entire world, so that today, happy folks in every land are enjoying that old Virginia dish, rich in tender meat, tangy with barbecue sauce. Getting hungry? Well, we wouldn't just tell you about Smithfield Barbecue. Step up and enjoy one at our refreshment stand right now. When you bite into that luscious, lip-smacking Smithfield Barbecue sandwich, you'll find out for yourself why James River brand Smithfield Barbecue is a favorite everywhere.
Friday night, blast off for a galaxy far, far away. See all your Star Wars favorites in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Friday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Tonight here on CBS.
You win a new car or a case of Wilkins Instant Coffee.
I'll take the Wilkins Coffee.
We'll never get rid of that car.
Golden era, basking in pomp and pageantry, when great legions brought her glory to one half of the world, and a fabulous adventurer brought her romance to the other half, when power-mad men sought to inflict their wills on the weak King Philip, and a lonely queen sought guidance to lead her people. When one man rallied a band of loyal followers to defy the conspirators, Don Juan, deadliest swordsman in all Europe, fighting his way into the strongholds of the oppressor and out of the dungeons of the Inquisitor, challenging the tyranny of the cruel Duke of Lorca wherever he finds it, as he gives his sword to his country and his heart to his queen.
All my life I seem to have been stumbling around as if in darkness. I am no longer...
Silence! You have no right to speak to me that way. I forbid you.
But I would never have spoken except by your command.
Then I was wrong to command you. Wrong to believe that friendship and loyalty could ever replace your desire for another conquest.
Tell me, Don Juan, do you hire men to spread the tales of your romantic conquests?
Some men prefer the conquest of beauty to the conquest of a throne.
I asked you that when I was queen, but I am no longer.
And I shall be the only one to know that for just a little while, there was no queen.
I warned you, senor. This time I shall cut deeply.
Be sure it's deep enough.
for all those who thrill to love. Good old Errol Flynn, in like Flynn. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm not going to tell you. Hey, he did all his own stunts, too. That's really Errol Flynn flying down those stairs. It's a pretty good movie, too. It's been a long time. Really long time since I saw that. But yeah. Kind of cool. All Lucky 7 says, where was it? Something about, oh yeah, there you go. Man, I miss these movies. I should put one of them to watch later tonight or one of these days. Try to remember, who is it that we get? I don't think they've been in chat lately. A lot of times we'll do the brief intermission and we have the trailer and they're like, well, I know what I'm watching after the show. Like, find something on Tubi or whatever, right? Because a lot of times those movies that I share trailers for are, B or C. So yes, Steve Dalskog is with us. Hopefully I'm close to pronouncing that correctly. Kevin R. Smith says, you mean Chris Lundgren? No, it's not Chris. You know who I think it is? I think it's Pete Strakolich. I think they're the one who's always like, oh, there you go. And then like later in chat, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's on Crackle or whatever, some free streamer. It's like, oh, okay. All righty. So Steve says they just woke up. So for the first time, they're not followed on Memorex. So welcome aboard. Very good. I recognize the name because I know you've commented on videos before. I was not sure if you'd popped into chat. So make yourself comfortable. So tonight, it's time for us to delve on into another forgotten RPG favorite. This time out, we're actually going to dive into it and see it up close as opposed to just talking about it. Tonight, we're going to be taking a peek at Flashing Blades. See the theme? The theme that we've got, right? Trivia question, the movie trailer, the game we're looking at. Yeah. Just messing around. Anyway, this is from Fantasy Games Unlimited, who many of us will refer to as FGU. And this originally came out in 1984. I already mentioned if you tuned in a little bit late, I never had Flashing Blades. I had Aftermath, I had Space Opera, and Bushido. Those were the three FGU games that I had. And I think Flashing Blade came a little bit later. So 84 would have been, well, depending on when in 84, would either been in my junior year of high school or senior year of high school. And by that point in time, I was still picking up a lot of games in that, but it was a little more board game wise. Because I was running Call of Cthulhu and I was kind of locked into that. So, anyway, this is designed by Mark Pettigrew. It is available still. So, what is it? Scott. I almost said Steve. Scott, I think it's Bizarre. I don't think it's Bizarre. Anyway, Scott from FGU was kind enough to send me some a little more obscure titles from FGU, which are still available, and Flashing Blades is one of them. And we're actually going to be taking a look at this, and we're also going to take a peek at 3 adventure supplements also. So you can actually pick this up. This is, I think, about 80 pages. Pick this up for $12 plus shipping. If you want to get the PDF, it is available over at DriveThruRPG. It is $6. So there you go. All righty. All Lucky 7 says, these days you have 7th Sea, All for One, Regime Diabolique, and maybe some other. Well, there's the Spanish captain. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Yes. Speaking of swashbuckling games, I had a really soft spot for an old Yaquinto game, which is really saying something because a lot of the Yaquinto games were not very good. And it was Swashbuckler. And it was funny. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that game. And oh, throw on those rose-colored glasses, Jeff. Oh, yeah. And then a friend of mine, game designer John Welsh, made like a modern version of Swashbuckler for Gene Billingsley over at GMT Games. And I had an opportunity to play it. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I think the only really good game that Yaquinto did was Ironclads. And that was mainly a miniatures game. All right, so let's take a look at the back here. Actually, I guess I should point out that Scott over at FGU was kind enough to send me these review copies. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share these first looks with you. It's important you know that. I have not been bought off. That's essentially what I mean when I say those things. We're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to dive in. I want to get an idea of the mechanics of flashing blades. It's been a long time since I looked at anything from FGU. I seem to recall 20-sided die mechanic, but isn't it? I'm pretty sure that Kevin R. Smith is going to be able to answer this because he's kind of our historian around here. I think it's roll under. I think it's a roll under mechanic. So if you had like a dexterity 13, you need to roll 13 or less to succeed. I believe that's how this works. Anyway, we're also going to look at some adventures. So keep in mind, if you're a player, maybe you're going to talk your game master into picking this up, picking up some of the adventures. Might see some spoilers. Anything's possible. Just letting you know. It was a question of honor, and honor was always foremost in the minds of the men who strode through the age of the Sun King. A deserted courtyard on the edge of Paris was the stage on which they met with flashing blades. A complete role-playing game set in the era of the Three Musketeers, a world in which a man's courage and ambition knew no bounds. It was a time of adventure and of intrigue in which the rival interests of the king and cardinal played a deadly game across France and all of England. Da, 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 da. Oh, Kevin R. Smith says they know next to nothing about FGU games, especially this one. I would say then it's probably Agile Monk. Yeah, probably Agile Monk who would know. Because I think he plays some FGU stuff out there. All right, let's dive on in. Somebody mentioned last night that they liked the color scheme here. I agree. It's a little bit different. I like that. Kind of stands out a bit. Okay. First thing I will say, I would not be shocked if this book is actually from 1984. It may not necessarily be the case. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That would be pretty wild, huh? All right, so we've got our introduction. As one might expect, Flashing Blades is designed to capture the adventurous and lighthearted spirit of swashbuckling adventure stories and movies. It has been necessary at times to sacrifice some realism and historical accuracy to this end. Players might imagine the game as being set in the France that might have been rather than the France that was. Flashing Blades, like all other role-playing games, requires a creative imagination. So, components. Each player should have several 6-sided dice and one 20-sided die. So, those are the dice you need. There you go. Mark Hawkswell says, I very much like the color scheme. That's who it was last night. Mark said that. You need paper and pencils, charts and sheets, optional materials, plastic overlays and a grease pencil, miniatures, calculators. All right. So let's get into general skills. Did I just miss a page? Yes, I did. I was like, wait a second. Aren't we going to get into the attributes? I was like, wait a second. What is it? Okay, so we got strength, dexterity, endurance, wit. I'd be a negative in that. Charm, also a negative. And luck. Probably halfway decent on that. So, are we doing 3 to 18? I believe we are. Yep, roll 3d6, add the dice together, providing a range of 3 to 18. The higher the score in the attribute, the greater the character's ability in that era. This does have the FGU look. This was the look of FGU games. Sometimes I'll mention how we had the Chaosium Call of Cthulhu font. And that is sort of the thing with FGU too, I had noticed. W. Forge asks if any of the art is by Bill Willingham. You mean the famed creator of Fables, which I absolutely loved. Let's see. Take a peek. Answer to that would be no. Looks like these are the artists right here. And he is not one of them. Okay. So we've got height and build. So you'd be rolling for your height and build. And that'll actually adjust your attributes. So if you're short and stocky, you'd get +1 endurance. Average and thin would be +1 dexterity. That's kind of cool. All right, so is this our hit points? I guess we're taking, okay, let's see here. 2 basic aspects of a character which are determined directly by the attributes are hit points and encumbrance value. So yes, this is going to have crunch. This is going to have crunch to it. So Max Apocalypse says Psyworld has a lot of Willingham art. I've got that. We're going to be taking a look at that in the future also. All Lucky 7 says the title font is very early 80s. Dallas. Who did Dallas? The Dallas role-playing game. I remember that. That wasn't FGU. It wasn't a big, I don't recall it being, it wasn't like TSR or anybody like that. Okay, so hit points start at the base value of 10, modified by strength, endurance, and luck. So the most you could have is 17. So there you have that. And then we also have the endurance, or not endurance, encumbrance. So we're going to have the background. So we have 4 categories: the rogue, gentleman, soldier, and nobleman. We have skills, and then we have these skills broken up by background. So we've got rogue, gentleman, soldier, and nobleman. During the course of an adventure, characters will wish to make constant use of their skills. This is achieved normally by rolling a d20 against one of the character's attributes. A roll equal to or less than the attribute indicates that the skill was used successfully. So yes, I was right. It is. It is the roll under, equal to or under. The attribute rolled against is usually the base attribute for the skill, but this may vary depending upon the circumstances. For example, a character with an acrobatic skill might roll against his dexterity to put on a sham brawl, but would be required to make a roll against his wit to recognize one if he saw it. The difficulty of most rolls will vary widely, so the game master should add bonuses or subtract penalties from the needed roll as indicated by the situation. For example, a character with stealth skill and a dexterity of 13 would normally need to roll 13 or less to hide effectively. If there were no shadows and little cover, he might receive a -2 penalty, making his needed roll 11 or less. Likewise, if it were late at night in a thick forest, he might get a +4 bonus, making his required roll a 17 or less. In cases of extreme difficulty, the game master might require a roll under a given attribute divided by 2 or 3. Dun, dun, dun. When two characters use their skills in opposition to each other, it becomes a resistance roll. First character's roll modifies the seconds by the difference between his roll and what he needed. Okay, so if you rolled a 6 and you needed a 12, is that a -6 modifier? I guess so. Yep, that's exactly what it does. So I'm kind of curious. What do the skills do? Can you not do something? That's what I'm wondering about. Because I would think they would give you some sort of bonus, or more likely that if you didn't have the skill, then you're really not going to be able to attempt something. All right, so let's see. Chemist as an example. This skill represents good knowledge of 17th century chemistry. Players should remember that chemistry and alchemy were not fully separated in the 17th century, and although this skill allows characters to use some practical knowledge of chemistry, they may still believe in the Philosopher's Stone and the elixir of life. At the game master's discretion, such things may really exist in the game. Characters with chemist skill will be able to make gunpowder, poisons, sneeze and itch powders, acids, etc., if provided with the correct materials. Chemists are also able to recognize such substances with accuracy. So that would be an example, at least in my opinion, of a skill that if you don't have the skill, you may not attempt to create gunpowder, right? So Kevin R. Smith says they think it was Professor DM who played the Dallas RPG at a con. I have it somewhere on PDF. So, yes, it was SPI. Thank you. Yeah. That was not a company that was known for its role-playing games. That's for sure. So we've got like acrobatics. The areas of ability governed by each skill and its specific effects on the game are provided below. So I guess like horsemanship, this skill represents the ability to ride a horse well. Literacy, oratory, seduction, stealth. All right. Then we have martial training. So you have archery, artillery, brawling, dueling, firearms, grenadier, pole arms. And then we are going to get into expertise. So like I said, I'm pretty sure we got a bit of crunch in this because it is a mid-1980s role-playing game. So it looks like this is kind of getting into advantages and secrets. Character may choose to have one advantage and one secret. So we have things like being a noble, wealth, land, having a contact, someone owes you a favor, having a double, gentleman's lackey. Oh, there you go. That's right out of the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers. Flint Fireforge is with us tonight. So as we're taking a peek here, as you may realize, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members during the live streams. So big tip of the cap and thank you to our Patreon members, Ben Oathwaite, Kaval, Kevin R. Smith, Talzek, Peaceful Porcupine, William King, the Tabletop Scholar, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman, Gustavo Cavalho, Kevin King, GameCat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Faradrift, Pete Stracklich, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, The Madman, and just showing up a moment ago, Flint Fireforge. Thank you very much, everyone. And I see Chris Lundgren and Buddy are popping on in. All right, so those are the different advantages. And then we have secrets. There are 9 of them. Sworn Vengeance, Duelist, Blackmailed, Compulsive Gambler, Secret Loyalty, Code of Honor, Secret Identity, Religious Fanatic, and Don Juan. Oh, there you go. They have a great difficulty resisting beautiful women. Ha ha ha. Then it looks like we've got outfitting our characters. So different prices on things here. Social ranks. Then we got our sample character. It is Jacques Lefacun. Personal combat. See, this is where I think would be different than other role-playing games of that time because of the duels. Personal combat was a common event in the swashbuckling 17th century. The rules in this section are designed to provide a complete system of combat for most dueling, brawling, and skirmishing situations that might arise in a game of flashing blades. The Game Master should, of course, feel free to modify this system either as a whole or just for special situations. All right, so we got a turn sequence. Each turn is about 12 seconds of fighting. So movement, we have attacks. So they proceed in this order: missile weapons, pole arms, foils, rapiers, longswords, so forth, daggers, then last, unarmed attacks. Then we have counters. A counter is a counterattack akin to the riposte in fencing. If a counter is chosen as an action and an enemy makes an attack on the character that misses for any reason, the character may make an immediate counterattack. This counterattack may be any single action attack, but not a long action attack, such as a slash or a thrust. Oh, a slash or a thrust, but not a lunge. Counterattacks also get a +1 to hit. Counterattacks may be parried or defended against normally. Taking a counter action and an attack action is the only means by which a character may get 2 blows in at his opponent in one turn. So I guess we have 2 actions available to the characters. So we have got lunge, thrust, slash, strike, which is like a club or a brawling weapon, or strike with a pole arm or two-handed sword, punch, kick, haymaker, grapple, tackle. And then it looks as if we also have the ability to dodge, to duck, to sidestep, and step back. So discussing the different unarmed attack. Talking about armor, Armor will deflect damage from all attacks unless the attacker's roll to hit was a 1. That's a critical hit. So in that case, the armor has no effect. Characters may wear any combination of pieces of armor except that a padded doublet and a leather jerkin may not be worn at the same time. Each piece of armor deflects a certain amount of damage on one or more locations shown in the following table. So the most damage that gets basically, absorbed is 3 points. Okay. Then we have, we're going to have hit locations. Because effects of damage, head, chest, or flank, arms and legs. So yes, we've got a bit of crunch to the combat. We've got fumbles. And then we have random tables for those using a 6-sided die. We even have fumbles with flint locks and wheel locks with grenades. We have dirty fighting. Trip, vicious kick, stomp, throw sand, choke. Special attacks. Entangle. Draw, strike to subdue, disarm. Then we get into the dueling code. An example of combat. All right. Ranks and positions. Now we're going to get, I think this is the GM section coming up. It's talking about campaigns. It's like they're military campaigns, though. Yep. That is what that is. Especially, figure if your players are going to be musketeers, they are going to go on military campaigns. It looks like we're now starting to get into essentially setting info. It's got the clergy. Although having a position in the clergy and being an adventurer may at first seem like a conflict of careers, it was common enough in 17th century France. For those who were ambitious, the Catholic Church could serve as a ladder for reaching politically powerful positions. The church was seen as much as a political power as a religious one. All right, well, then we have the center of the book. We've got some pull-out sheets. So these are some reference sheets here. Here we got Paris in the 17th century. Personal combat. So yes, we do have parrying taking place as well. Hit locations, weapons damage, armor, loading times, serious wounds, military campaigns, different regiments. And there's our character sheet. DB's with us. Witchlight has also popped on into chat. I think I might have said hello to everyone. I see All Lucky 7 is curious. No pommel strike? I would think maybe that's one of the special things, right? Okay, so yep. So now we're going to get into setting info because it's talking about clubs and orders. We've got an appendix, glossary of weapons and armor as well. It's like discussion of France in the 17th century. Personalities. Oh, then we get adventures. All right. So we've got the Tavern Breuvage Noir, The Man Behind the Mask, Monsieur Le Droit's Secret. Then we get some encountered tables. And we start with that new page numbering. W. Forge says, there's staples. I wonder if this was a box set at first. I remember Cyworld was a box set. Yes, and it still is a box set. Like I said, we'll be taking a peek at that. There's the aforementioned Bill Willingham's artwork. So Kevin R. Smith says, unfortunately, Agile Monk isn't here. And TV's like, his loss. I'm sure he'll catch up on Memorex. I'm sure he probably will. All right. So it looks as if our first adventure is probably an introduction to the combat. Oh, maybe not. It looks like the characters are taking a trip. Yeah. Okay. So we got Florence. Oh, maybe this is just one. No, I guess not. Okay. This is throwing me off. So here we got this. Yes, that's what I thought. I missed this. So the first adventure does look like it is an introduction to combat. Then we get The Man Behind the Mask is a long quest-like adventure which may take several play sessions. It is designed for a group of 4 to 6 beginning Flashing Blades characters. It is a good adventure for drawing characters from different backgrounds together, and it sets up a number of enemies and allies for characters who may haunt them or aid them in later adventures. The basic plot of The Man Behind the Mask is as follows. All right, get ready. Here comes a spoiler. The party of characters is recruited by a powerful and mysterious masked nobleman, the Archduke de Mainz, to journey to the Principality of Florence and recover a number of valuable objects, including a strange set of plans designed by Leonardo da Vinci. You're thinking I was going to say Leonardo DiCaprio. These plans are the real These plans are the real object of the quest, as unbeknownst to the party, they are plans for an ordinator, a very simple, primitive mechanical computer. Various other agencies are after these plans, believing them to be blueprints for a secret weapon. These agencies who will become enemies to the party include hirelings of Cardinal Richelieu, emissaries from the Royal Dragoons, and spies from Savoy. The roads from Paris to Florence and back are thus fraught with danger and adventure. So as you will see, this is the old school sort of adventure design. So it's providing situations, providing set pieces, and how are your characters going to respond to them, as opposed to sitting there and it's like, okay, well, your character needs to roll this for this to happen. No, you're not going to see that. All right, we've got Monsieur Ledroit's secrets, or Ledroit's secret. It's a different sort of adventure from the others in this booklet, as it allows player characters to explore an adventure in the world of 17th century mystery and political intrigue. It is designed especially for characters starting their careers in the bureaucracy or banking. It revolves around a society of Spanish sympathizers who call themselves the Red Brotherhood. They have been systematically selling state secrets to the Spanish ambassador in Paris. Dun, dun, dun. An agent of the Constable General, Monsieur Marcel de Ledroit, started to tail the Brotherhood and tried to join so he could get proof of their activities, but was murdered before he could report to the Constable General. It's up to the party of player characters to figure out why he was killed and by whom, and to follow the clues leading them to the arrest of the Red Brotherhood. All right. And then we get some encounter tables. So that is a peek at Flashing Blades. Once again, this is still available. You can get this from Fantasy Games Unlimited, and their website is fantasygamesunlimited.net. The soft cover is $12. If you want to grab the PDF, do so over at DriveThruRPG for $6. And of course, don't forget, we are an affiliate of the One Bookshelf site. So if you're going to pick up PDFs, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. All right. Pliskin has joined us. All right. So we got 3 other adventure books. We're going to quickly peek at these. They are shorter. But, you know, it's kind of funny. Like I had mentioned about the core book, I would not be shocked if these are from the original print run or a print run from the 80s. Because if you notice, there's a little bit of, maybe you're not picking it up, there's a little bit of discoloration here. Kind of wild. So this is an Ambassador's Tales. Shouldn't it not have an apostrophe? No, I guess it would have the apostrophe. It's a complete campaign for use with flashing blades. Player adventurers are assigned to accompany an ambassador from the cardinal to foreign courts. They find adventure and danger along the way. So it looks as if we have 5 interlocking adventures. Let's take a peek. This is a full campaign for Flashing Blades. The party of player characters will be recruited into the entourage of Monsieur de Benvenue, the Cardinal's special ambassador to foreign lands. While in the company of the ambassador's troop, the party will receive special instructions from the Cardinal and will be given a secret mission of some kind in 5 separate countries. Each mission is its own adventure, fraught with danger and intrigue. It's one of the things I always found kind of interesting about the 3 Musketeers and the 4 Musketeers is the Cardinal is a villain, and then he is also working to protect France. So it's kind of weird. W. Ford says, smell the books, Jeff. See if they have that old book smell. Got to be honest, if they had the old book smell, I'd be smelling it right now. Max Apocalypse says these books had the pedigree. So Pliskin says they're remembering this from their teenage years. So the first adventure is Habsburg Hospitality. The party's going to travel to a secret palace in Austria for special negotiations with the emperor. Well, then we have the Constantinople Emerald, where they're going to go to Trieste, where a special Sardinian ship commissioned in advance by the Cardinal awaits. They're meeting with Turkish pirates. That's pretty wild. Looks like they'll also end up in Venice. That's kind of cool. Somebody mentioned, man, that's a lot. DB said, wow, that's a lot of text. Yeah, that's how these 1980s and early 1990s adventures were. Short page-wise. So, Lucky 7 says, sardines, yum. Kevin R. Smith says, yeah, welcome to the 80s RPG layout. Oh, yeah. Dual column. This is the Constantinople adventure where they actually go and meet with the pirates. So we have Torre del Diablo. So this takes them to Cagliari. Not familiar with that. I would think, seeing that you're spending a lot of time at sea, I would take a guess there might be some mechanics in here. Kevin R. Smith says, I wonder how they're printing new books with the old layout. Do they still have old printer plates? As I mentioned before, I would not be shocked if this is from a long ago print run. Even the paper stock. I mean, the paper stock feels like old 80s role-playing games. No joke. All right. And then it looks like our final adventure is Diplomatic Immunity, which takes them to London, I guess. Well, it takes them to England. Yes. Well, at least they're not over there murdering the Duke of Buckingham. Witchlight says, scanned, edited as PDFs, printed digitally. That'd be their guess. Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. But hang on. I don't smell ink. We've got the Cardinal's Peril. It's an adventure pack for Flashing Blades. So we have 4 complete adventures and a bonus section. We get a brief history of the Musketeers. And then we get the Haunted Villa, the Cardinal's Peril, the Lady of La Rochelle, and the Royal Hunt. I gotta be honest, these look really cool. I had always heard that the adventures for Flashing Blades was good. And I think they're all written by Mark Pettigrew. Huh. Oh, maybe not. Oh, well, hang on. The history is from Scott over at FGU. So here's our brief history. Then we get the Haunted Villa. This is an adventure with a treasure hunt theme. It revolves around a mysterious parchment found hidden in the pommel of a sword by one of the player characters, which leads to an old deserted villa near Paris. There's indeed a treasure hidden in the villa, but it's guarded, misspelled, by a series of deadly traps and puzzles. And at the Game Master's option, a diabolical descendant of the original owner. The traps have given the villa a reputation for being haunted. And although it was abandoned near the end of the 16th century and left fully furnished in high style, no thief has ever ventured there and returned. Dun, 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 dun. W. Ford says, when you open the Cyworld box, see if they have an old catalog or older design dice. Yes, we will take a peek. We'll look to see if there's maybe, because a lot of times back in the 80s with box sets, there would be almost like a postcard in there. It would just list the other games. It wasn't like a catalog. It'd be like a postcard and be like, oh, okay. So you'd like mark off what you wanted to buy, include your money order or check or what have you, and then send that along. And we got the Cardinal's Peril. It catches the player characters up in a web of danger, intrigue, and high politics. It's designed for a group of 3 or more beginning Flashing Blades characters. The adventure can lead to many other situations and opportunities for achievement, opening up a number of different paths for characters to follow as they may. The friends and enemies the adventurers will meet here, and particularly one potential friend of surpassing importance, will remain important to the characters for many adventures to come. The basic plot revolves around a planned assassination of the cardinal. Well, how's about that? Got our stat blocks for NPCs. Then we have the Lady of La Rochelle. It's an adventure involving espionage and intrigue set against the French military campaign against the Huguenots, I should say, of La Rochelle in 1627, 1628. Designed for a group of 4 or more Flashing Blades characters who are engrossed in military or quasi-military careers. The adventure can be an interesting way to enliven a period of active military campaigning by such characters, and with only a little adaptation, can be worked into almost any game, including military characters. All right. So each of the adventures seems to be 5-6 pages, then get a map. Troy Cornelson's hanging with us. Said they've got 2 sons who are both adults. On their first date with his wife, way back when, we went to the movies and saw a Musketeers movie. My 2 sons' names are D'Artagnan and Aramis, or Aramis, depending on how you want to pronounce it. That's wild. That's pretty cool. DB says, I think FGU had an 8x5x11 order form. That is a possibility too. Sometimes it would just be a sheet of paper in there. All right, we got the Royal Hunt. For 4 to 8 experienced characters, it provides a country outing for adventurers, a chance to match wits with an old enemy and maybe leave the court and government to the cardinal and go for a 5-day hunting trip to his palace at Fontainebleau. The party will receive permission to attend from a powerful patron or friend who is invited to join in various royal sports. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was invited but unable to go. At the king's estate, the characters will have a chance to join in various royal sports and amusements. Their old enemy, however, will see to it that the outing is not without an element of danger. All right. So those are the adventures in the Cardinal's Peril. And then lastly, we have High Seas, which I believe might introduce pirates. Yeah, so it says an expansion for Flashing Blades to allow characters to adventure in the new world and at sea in the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you like to pronounce it, or elsewhere. Included herein are complete rules for the creation of colonial characters, new skills and backgrounds for the new world, a complete background to the new world. Now, see, it threw me off. I saw New World twice. And the colonial bureaucracy, colonial military campaigns, and even the position of the clergy in the Americas. Also included are complete rules for shipbuilding, ship types, sea travel and trade, and ship-to-ship combat. Additional sections provide a complete background to the world of pirates and privateers. We get a mini campaign. Looks like it includes 4 adventures. Sweet. W. Forge says, imagine if you went to Excalibur, your sons would be named Merlin and Leo de Grance. Ah, come on, it'd be Gawain. See, now, I don't know if you're seeing this. There's a discoloration here. There's a discoloration on the back, too. Kind of wild. All right. So this is our final item here. So we've got new world characters. So we have new backgrounds and skill choices. So we've got colonial rogue, colonial gentleman, colonial soldier, marine, and sailor, as well as pirate. So you have new skills. Pilot, pirate, patois. I don't know how that's pronounced. Seamanship. We have new fighting weapons. We have gunnery. Giving us a breakdown of the skills that you can take based on your background. We have some new weapons, hand axes, a fighting iron. Weighs 3 weight points, may range in size from 1.3 to 2 meters in length. May only be used to make a strike attack. And due to its slowness, this font is kind of small. It strikes in the 4th phase of a combat turn. Special situations, landlubbers, rigging, swimming, drowning, shipboard recuperation. Got our ranks and positions, talking about the French colonies. Shipboard ranks, the clergy. I'm trying to remember which of the musketeers is the member of the clergy. Is it Aramis or Aramis, or I mean, however you want to pronounce it? Isn't he the member of the clergy? We know it's not Porthos. So let's see. Shipbuilding, trade, and combat. Yes. Okay. So he is. All right. Thank you. DB says, yeah, that font is indeed kind of small. That's the 80s. And that is FGU in the 80s. I remember, but something else got to keep in mind. Okay, font is small, but I can still read it okay. I lose myself a little bit when I'm reading, a couple of paragraphs. I might lose my place with it, but I can read it fine. But one of the things to keep in mind with the font size is just think how much information and gaming material is packed into here. All right, Miss Sarah D is rocking and rolling. It's bedtime. All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us again. And enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. And hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday. I think on Tuesday, we're going to look at X-Crawl Classics. I think we're going to dive on in and take a peek. So we had some rules about ship-to-ship combat in here. And an example of ship combat. And then we get into our campaign. Scavenger's Daughter is a short campaign of 3 adventures designed for either high seas. Oh, I guess that was the pirate game that FGU had. Might still have it. Or French-born Flashing Blades characters. Campaign starts with several Flashing Blades characters being sent by the French crown with a secret message to the colonial governor of Martinique. On their way, their ship is taken by a band of marauding pirates. Damn you, pirates. They are forced to join the pirates, who are short of hands, in the hopes of being able to escape and deliver their message as soon as possible. Other player characters, those from high seas, may enter the campaign in one of 2 ways. They may start as part of the pirate crew, or they may be shanghaied along with the French-born characters. All right. So this is our opening to it. Then we've got Pike's Trove. So it's the first of 3 adventures that player characters may have aboard the Scavenger's Daughter. That is the name of the ship. Gerge Rouge. This is French Hispaniola. So they're going to go to the pirate haven of Tortuga, busting out the good old pirates, right? Sid Meier's Pirates. I always loved that game. And then we're going to wrap up with Portobello. It's a spy mission into Portobello. Maybe this is where they're delivering their message. That their secret message they've got. Nice. Very, very cool. So that is a peek at High Seas. Oh, so I guess that's weird. Why would they say High Seas characters? Oh, I get it. Okay. Now I understand. So with the campaign, they're talking about either characters that you created in Flashing Blades, and then High Seas characters are those that you created with the new options here. Now I get it. All right, so High Seas, The Cardinal's Peril, and Ambassador's Tales, and the Flashing Blades core book. Once again, big thank you to Scott over at Fantasy Games Unlimited for sending these along. What I would probably do is I will share a review of the core book. I will probably do a separate video sharing kind of an overall review of these adventures. So there you go. All right. Somebody made a mushroom joke, maybe, because I see Kevin R. Smith saying, sorry, I had to make a stupid joke about Portobello. W4 asks, anybody remember the name of game where you made pirate ships from cardboard pieces you slotted together? I don't remember that. I have no idea. All right. So, pretty cool. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of curious. I'm wondering. I mean, this does look newer. Is it maybe the covers? I don't know. Kind of wild. Kind of wild. So that is going to be it for our first look at the Flashing Blades releases from FGU. Very nice. I should also point out, if you won the contest tonight, all you got to do, send an email to me. I will set you up with a link to your prize. And of course, my email is jeffmcaleer@thegaminggang.com. And just make sure, I think it wasn't it Mark Hawkswell? So Mark, make sure that you send along the email from the email address that's associated with your YouTube account. So it's your Gmail. And I will get you set up. I am also going to give a copy away of the Celtic Ireland bundle to a lucky viewer. So this time around, we're going to do something a little bit different. You can comment on thegaminggang.com on any article, any post that is on there. You've got until next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. In order to do that, all you got to do, you need to leave one comment. Multiple comments is not going to get you multiple entries. I will randomly select one of the commenters over on thegaminggang.com. I will reveal the winner on Tuesday's show. So there you have it. All righty. That's it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or paging through something or pontificating about a topic. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the channel. I really do appreciate it. Of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings, right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Also let you know when I share other videos, such as there it is, recent review of The Devoured Labyrinth from RPG Ramblings. And I should also mention, if you're watching on a mobile device and you got some hype points, feel free to sprinkle a few on. Any little bit helps. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. As usual, like I said, I think we'll take a look at X-Crawl Classics. Unless something arrives that is, hitting stores, something like that. I'm pretty sure we'll do X-Crawl Classics. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.